What if I told you that the homeless man my boyfriend threw trash at on New Year Eve turned out to be a billionaire CEO who was about to expose the biggest betrayal of my life? Yeah, you heard that right. This is the story of how one act of kindness revealed my boyfriend's affair, caught him stealing $15,000 from his company, and gave me a second chance at real love. And I promise you, by the end of this story, you'll never look at a homeless person the same way again. This is a true story about karma, kindness, and the new year that destroyed my life, and then saved it. Let's go back to where it all started. Welcome to the City of Stories. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. You know, they say how you start the new year sets the tone for everything that follows. This is a story about a woman named Sarah and a New Year's Eve that changed her entire life. And let me tell you, it's a story that'll make you think twice about how you treat people. It was December 30th in Denver, Colorado. The city was buzzing with excitement for the upcoming New Year's celebrations. Sarah was walking through Washington Park with her boyfriend Tyler, and honestly, she thought she knew him. She thought she knew the man she was building a life with. But that day, she was about to see something that made her stomach turn. There was a man sitting on a bench near the frozen pond. His clothes were worn and dirty, his face weathered from too many nights in the cold. He had a small cardboard sign that simply said, "Anything helps. God bless." Tyler saw him first, and what he did next still makes me angry just thinking about it. He picked up his empty coffee cup and pretended to throw it at the man like he was a trash can. When the man flinched, Tyler and his friend Rob burst out laughing like it was the funniest thing in the world. "Oh man, I'm sorry," Tyler said, still laughing. "I thought you were the garbage." Sarah's heart sank. She felt shame wash over her, hot and uncomfortable. "Tyler, that's not funny," she said quietly. But Tyler wasn't done. When the man asked if they had any spare change or food, Tyler's face twisted with disgust. "No way," he said loudly. "I work hard for my money. I'm not giving it to some homeless, dirty loser. That would be a waste." Sarah couldn't take it anymore. She stepped forward, her hands shaking a little. "I have something," she said gently. "What's your name?" The man looked up at her, and she saw something in his eyes. Not just sadness, but surprise. Like he couldn't believe someone was actually talking to him like he was human. "His name?" Tyler laughed. "His name is Mr. Dirty Beggar." "Stop it, Tyler," Sarah snapped. She looked back at the man. "Please tell me your name." "Daniel," he said softly. "My name is Daniel. I'm Sarah. It's nice to meet you, Daniel." She reached into her purse and pulled out a $20 bill. "Here. Please get yourself something warm to eat. Happy New Year." As they walked away, Sarah could hear Tyler complaining. "Can you believe that loser begging for money in a public park? What a disgrace to society. Where else is he supposed to go, Tyler?" Sarah asked, feeling her anger rise. "Have some empathy. It's almost a new year." "I have empathy," Tyler shot back. "Just not for dirty homeless losers. And why do you suddenly care so much?" "News flash, I've always cared. You just never notice." Sarah wrapped her arms around herself. "Can we please just go? I want to get coffee and stop arguing." "Fine. Coffee it is," Tyler said. Then he added, "But remember, all that sugar is going to make you fat. And I won't be seen with someone who's fat." Sarah bit her lip, fighting back tears. This wasn't the man she thought she'd fallen in love with. Or maybe it was, and she'd just been blind to it. What Sarah didn't see was Daniel watching them walk away. She didn't see him carefully pick up something from the ground where she'd been standing. It was her driver's license. It must have fallen out when she opened her purse. Daniel looked at the ID, then at Sarah's retreating figure. He carefully tucked it into his pocket. Even though he had nothing, even though he was cold and hungry, he knew he had to return it to her. Because that's what good people do. They do the right thing, even when it costs them something. Later that evening, Tyler got a text from his coworker Jasmine. She was a beautiful black woman who worked in his department at the real estate development company. Tyler's face lit up when he saw her name. "Babe, I need to cancel our New Year's Eve plans," he said casually. "Work thing came up. Jasmine and I got assigned a big project together, and we need to finish it before the new year." Sarah felt her stomach drop. "But Tyler, we've had this planned for weeks. We were supposed to go to that rooftop party downtown. Work comes first, Sarah. You know that." He was already texting on his phone, barely looking at her. "Why don't you go to that bar you like? Have some alone time. Honestly, with your mood lately, it might be good for you." Sarah stood there in their apartment, watching the man she loved choose work over her. Again. Or was it really work? She'd seen the way he looked at Jasmine. She'd noticed how he always volunteered to stay late when Jasmine was working. Fine, she said quietly. I'll go out. You have fun with your project. She grabbed her coat and left, fighting back the tears that threatened to fall. As she walked to the bar alone, she wondered when things had changed. When had Tyler become so cold? So mean? Or had he always been this way, and she'd just been too in love to see it? The bar was warm and decorated with silver and gold streamers, ready for New Year's Eve celebrations. Sarah sat at the counter and ordered a glass of wine. She tried not to think about Tyler at their apartment with Jasmine. She tried not to imagine what they might be doing. That's when she heard a voice beside her. A familiar voice. "Excuse me, miss? I can buy you a drink if you'd like." Sarah turned and gasped. It was Daniel, the homeless man from the park. And this is where the story really begins. Sarah stared at Daniel in complete shock. He was still wearing the same worn clothes, still had that tired look in his eyes. But there was something gentle about him, something kind that cut through all the dirt and hardship. "Wait, you're the man from the park," she said. "But what do you mean buy me a drink? I thought you needed money for food." Daniel smiled, and it transformed his whole face. "People were kind to me today. Gave me about $15 for food. But I saw you sitting here alone, looking sad. I figured maybe you could use a friend more than I need a hot meal tonight." Sarah felt her throat tighten with emotion. Here was a man who had nothing, offering to spend his only money on her. Meanwhile, her boyfriend, who had everything, couldn't even spend one evening, making her feel valued. "Oh, and before I forget," Daniel reached into his pocket. "You dropped this at the park." He handed her the driver's license. Sarah took it with trembling hands. "Oh my God, Daniel, thank you so much." She clutched the ID to her chest. "I didn't even realize I'd lost it. You have no idea how much trouble this saves me. The DMV is a nightmare. You're a lifesaver." "You remembered my name," Daniel said quietly, and she could hear the surprise in his voice. "Of course I remembered your name. Most people don't. They look at me and just see a homeless person. A nobody. Sometimes I wonder if I even exist to them, you know? Like I'm invisible." His voice was soft, filled with a loneliness that broke Sarah's heart. "You're not invisible to me," Sarah said firmly. "And you're not a nobody, Daniel. You're a person who deserves respect and kindness. You deserve so much more than what life has given you." They sat there for a moment, and Sarah felt something shift inside her. This stranger, this man who society had cast aside, was showing her more genuine care than Tyler had shown in months. "Tell you what," Sarah said. "Let me buy you a drink instead. And dinner too. When's the last time you had a real meal?" Daniel's eyes filled with tears. He quickly blinked away. "I can't remember. Maybe a week ago? Someone gave me half a sandwich." Sarah's heart clenched. While she'd been sitting in her comfortable apartment, arguing with Tyler about stupid things, this man had been starving in the cold. They talked for hours. Daniel told her about how he'd lost everything 3 years ago. How quickly life can change when you lose your job, then your home, then your dignity. He talked about the cold nights, the hunger, the way people looked through him like he didn't exist. Sarah found herself opening up too. She told him about Tyler, about how he'd changed. How he was always working late with Jasmine. How he made her feel small and worthless. How she was starting to wonder if she was crazy for feeling like something was wrong. "You're not crazy," Daniel said gently. "And Sarah, you deserve someone who treats you the way you treated me today. With kindness. With respect. Like you matter." As the night grew later, Sarah looked outside and saw snow falling heavily. The temperature had dropped, and she could see people hurrying past, bundled in thick coats, heading to New Year's Eve parties. "Daniel, where are you staying tonight?" she asked. "Tomorrow's New Year's Eve. I'll probably head back to the park. Find a bench with a bit of cover." No. Sarah made a decision in that moment that would change everything. "Absolutely not. It's freezing outside. You'll get hypothermia." She took a deep breath. "This is going to sound crazy, but what if I sneak you into my apartment? Just for the night. You can sleep on the couch, have a warm place to stay." Daniel's eyes went wide. "Sarah, no. Your boyfriend will lose his mind. He already hates me. He might hurt you or call the cops on me. Tyler he'll be asleep. He works himself into exhaustion and then passes out. We can sneak you in, and in the morning, you can leave before he wakes up." Sarah surprised herself with how determined she felt. "Look, Daniel, you returned my ID when you could have just kept it or thrown it away. You offered to buy me a drink with the only money you had. That's the kind of goodness that deserves to be rewarded. Please let me do this. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, but if there's any trouble, I'm leaving immediately. I won't be the reason you get hurt. Deal, Sarah said, and she meant it. They left the bar together, walking through the snowy Denver streets. Sarah felt nervous, but also strangely peaceful. For the first time in months, she felt like she was doing something that mattered. Something real. When they got to her apartment building, Sarah held a finger to her lips, and they crept up the stairs. She could hear the TV on in her apartment. Tyler was still awake. Her heart pounded as she slowly opened the door. Sarah? That you? Tyler called from the living room. Yeah, just me. I'm going to brush my teeth and head to bed. I'm exhausted. Whatever, Tyler muttered. Sarah quickly ushered Daniel to the bathroom and closed the door. She grabbed some blankets and pillows and made a bed in the tub, then whispered, Hide in here until he goes to sleep. I'll come get you when it's safe. Daniel squeezed her hand. Thank you, Sarah. You have no idea what this means to me. As Sarah lay in bed that night, listening to Tyler snore beside her, she couldn't help but think about the irony. The homeless man hiding in her bathroom had shown her more care in one evening than her boyfriend had shown her in months. Something was about to break. She could feel it. And maybe, just maybe, this new year would bring the change she desperately needed. New Year's Eve morning arrived with bright winter sunlight streaming through the windows. Sarah woke up early, her heart racing. She needed to get Daniel out before Tyler woke up. She carefully slipped out of bed, relieved to see Tyler still sleeping deeply. But when she went to the living room, her blood ran cold. Daniel was asleep on the couch, not in the bathroom where she'd left him. He must have moved there in the middle of the night, probably because the bathtub was too uncomfortable. And Tyler was already awake, standing in the kitchen making coffee. Sarah, can you grab me the... Tyler stopped mid-sentence as he walked into the living room. His eyes landed on Daniel sleeping on the couch. For a moment, everything was silent. Then Tyler exploded. What the hell? He screamed so loud that Daniel jolted awake. Who is this? Why is there a homeless man on our couch? Daniel scrambled to his feet, looking terrified. I'm sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. Please don't call the police. You're the guy from the park. Tyler's face was turning red with rage. Sarah, what is this dirty, disgusting person doing in our home? Do you know how much this couch cost? More than he makes in a year. Now we'll have to burn it because this thing was sleeping on it. Tyler, stop it. Sarah stepped between them. You're being cruel. Cruel? Cruel. Tyler was shaking with anger. I wake up on New Year's Eve and find out my girlfriend let some street rat into our home. How did he even get in? Did you let him in, Sarah? Are you really that stupid? Those words hit Sarah like a slap. Stupid. That's what he thought of her. Daniel was backing toward the door. Look, I'm leaving. I don't want to cause problems. Sarah, thank you for your kindness. I'll never forget it. You're damn right you're leaving, Tyler spat. And if I ever see you near this building again, I'm calling the cops. You understand me? You'll regret it. I can't believe you, Sarah said, her voice shaking. I can't believe I'm with someone so hateful. Tyler turned on her. Hateful? I'm hateful because I don't want homeless people sleeping on our expensive furniture. You want to be a hero so bad? Go live with him on the streets then. See how that works out for you. God, sometimes I wonder what I'm even doing with someone so dumb. Daniel slipped out the door, and Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. Not because Tyler was yelling at her, but because she finally saw him clearly. Really saw him. And she didn't like what she saw. I have to go into work today, Tyler said, his voice cold now. On New Year's Eve. So maybe you can just not nag me about it for once. That would be a nice way to start the new year. He left, slamming the door behind him. Sarah sank onto the couch, the same couch Tyler had just said they'd have to burn. She put her face in her hands and cried. How had her life? Meanwhile, across town, Tyler pulled up to his office building. He was meeting Jasmine there. They had plans that had nothing to do with work. Hey, beautiful, Tyler said when Jasmine opened the door. She was stunning in a tight gold dress, her dark skin glowing in the office lighting. Hey yourself, Jasmine purred. So, are we really doing this? The transfer? Absolutely, Tyler grinned. I'm the head of accounting. I can move money around and nobody will notice. $15,000 from the company account into my personal account. And then it's me and you in Cancun for New Year's Day. We'll ring in the new year on a beach with champagne. What about Sarah? Jasmine asked, though she didn't sound too concerned. What about her? She's so busy trying to save every homeless person in Denver. She won't even notice I'm gone. Tyler laughed. Besides, I told her it's a business conference. She's too stupid to question it. What neither of them knew was that someone else was in the office that day. Someone was in the storage room, just on the other side of the door, listening to every word they said. Daniel had been there for hours. You see, there's something you need to know about Daniel. Something that Tyler and Jasmine were about to find out. Daniel wasn't just a homeless man. He was the founder and CEO of one of Denver's most successful real estate development companies. The same company where Tyler and Jasmine worked. 3 months ago, Daniel had started an experiment. He wanted to see who his employees really were when they thought nobody important was watching. He'd sold his house, given away his expensive clothes, and started living on the streets. He wanted to understand the people who struggled, the ones his company built apartments for. But he also wanted to test his employees' character. And Tyler had failed spectacularly. Now, Daniel stood in that storage room, listening to Tyler and Jasmine plan to steal from his company. He recorded every word on his phone. He had all the evidence he needed. But more than that, he'd seen something beautiful. He'd seen Sarah, a woman who, despite being in a relationship with someone cruel, had never lost her kindness. A woman who saw him as human when everyone else saw trash. Later that afternoon, Sarah was sitting at home alone when her phone buzzed. It was an email from the company where Tyler worked. The subject line read, "Emergency meeting, all staff required New Year's Eve." She forwarded it to Tyler, who was supposedly at his business meeting with Jasmine. 20 minutes later, he came storming through the door. "I have to go into the office. Some emergency meeting. This is ridiculous on New Year's Eve." "I'll drive you," Sarah said quietly. She needed to get out of the apartment anyway. When they arrived at the office, Tyler looked surprised to see Jasmine already there. She looked equally shocked to see him with Sarah. "What are you doing here?" Jasmine asked Tyler nervously. Before he could answer, the conference room door opened. And standing there, clean-shaven, wearing an expensive suit, was Daniel. Tyler's mouth fell open. You're that homeless guy. What are you doing here?" Daniel smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile anymore. It was the smile of someone who knew exactly what was about to happen. "Hello, Tyler." "Hello, Jasmine. We need to talk about how you're planning to start the new year." The conference room felt smaller somehow with the weight of what was about to happen. Sarah stood frozen in the doorway, trying to process what she was seeing. Daniel, the homeless man she'd given $20 to, was standing there in a tailored suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. "I don't understand," she whispered. Daniel's expression softened when he looked at her. "Sarah, I owe you an explanation. But first, I need to address something with these two." He gestured to Tyler and Jasmine, who both looked like they'd seen a ghost. "I'm Daniel Foster. I founded this company 12 years ago. I'm your CEO." Tyler's face went from shock to pale to green. Jasmine grabbed the back of a chair for support. "That's impossible," Tyler stammered. "The CEO is some old guy who's never around. We've never even seen him." "That's by design," Daniel said calmly. "I prefer to let my company run itself. But 3 months ago, I got curious. I wanted to see how my employees acted when they thought nobody was watching. I wanted to understand the struggles of the people we claim to help with our affordable housing projects. So I gave away my possessions and lived on the streets." He pulled out his phone and tapped the screen. "And what I found was fascinating. Most people ignored me. Some were cruel. But one person," he looked at Sarah, "one person saw me as human. Treated me with dignity and respect, even though it cost her something." "This is insane," Tyler said, his voice rising with panic. "So what, you're mad I didn't give you money? This is entrapment or something." "Oh, I'm not mad about that, Tyler. Though I am disappointed in how you treated me and others. But that's not why we're here." Daniel pulled out a folder. "We're here because this morning, you and Jasmine transferred $15,000 from the company account into your personal account. You're here because you plan to use stolen money to take a vacation together while lying to your girlfriend." The room went silent. Sarah felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. "What?" she whispered. "Tyler, what is he talking about?" "I was in the office storage room," Daniel continued. "I heard everything. The whole plan. How you'd hide it in the Excel books. How you'd tell Sarah it was a business conference. How stupid you thought she was for believing you. How you were going to ring in the new year on a beach in Cancun with stolen money." Tears started streaming down Sarah's face, but they weren't tears of sadness anymore. They were tears of rage, of humiliation, of grief for all the time she'd wasted. "You were stealing?" she said, her voice shaking. "You were stealing money to take her on vacation for New Year's?" "Sarah, I can explain," Tyler started. "Explain what?" Sarah's voice rose. "Explain that you've been cheating on me? Explain that you've been stealing? Explain that you've been calling me stupid behind my back." She turned to Jasmine. "And you didn't care at all that he had a girlfriend?" Jasmine at least had the decency to look ashamed. "Look, Sarah, I'm sorry. It just happened. He said you guys were basically over anyway." "Basically over?" Sarah laughed, but it was a broken sound. "We lived together. We had New Year's Eve plans together. We were supposed to be building a life together." She looked at Tyler with disgust. "But you know what the worst part is? I knew. Deep down, I knew something was wrong. I just kept making excuses for you because I was afraid to be alone. But being alone would have been better than this." "Sarah," Tyler tried again. "Save it," Daniel interrupted. "Tyler, Jasmine, you're both fired, effective immediately. And I'll be pressing charges for embezzlement. The police will be here shortly. I suggest you use this time to call lawyers." "You can't do this," Tyler shouted. "It's New Year's Eve, and it's only $15,000. The company makes millions. It's not about the money, Tyler. It's about character. It's about integrity. You stole from this company, you cheated on your girlfriend, and worst of all, you treated people like they were worthless just because they had less than you." Daniel's voice was steel. "My company stands for building homes and communities. How can I trust you with that mission when you have no respect for the people in those communities?" The door opened and 2 police officers walked in. "Daniel Foster? We got your call about the embezzlement." As the officers approached Tyler and Jasmine, the reality of the situation hit them. Tyler started crying. "Please no, I can't go to jail. I'll pay it back. I'll do anything. It's New Year's Eve. You should have thought about that before," one officer said as he pulled out handcuffs. Jasmine was crying too, her mascara running down her face. "This can't be happening. My career is over. My life is over. This is the worst way to start a new year." "No," Daniel said firmly. "Your lives aren't over. But they're going to be very different. Maybe this will teach you both something about consequences. About treating people with respect. About doing the right thing even when you think nobody's watching. Consider it a life lesson for the new year." As the officers led them away, Tyler looked back at Sarah one last time. "Sarah, please tell them you'll forgive me. Tell them." "I don't forgive you," Sarah said, and her voice was steady now. Strong. "And I don't want you to come back to the apartment. I'll pack your things and leave them with the doorman. We're done, Tyler. We've been done for a long time. I just wasn't brave enough to admit it." The door closed behind them, and suddenly the room was quiet. Sarah stood there, shaking, trying to process everything that had just happened. Her boyfriend was a thief and a cheater. Her relationship was over. Her life had just been turned upside down. On New Year's Eve of all days. And Daniel was standing there, watching her with concern and something else in his eyes. Something that looked a lot like admiration. "Sarah," he said softly. "Are you okay?" She looked at him, this man who had pretended to have nothing, but had everything. This man who had tested everyone and found her worthy. This man who had shown her the truth, even though it hurt. "No," she said honestly. "But I will be. Maybe this is exactly the fresh start I needed for the new year." The office felt different after Tyler and Jasmine were gone. Sarah sat down in one of the conference room chairs, her legs suddenly unable to hold her up anymore. Daniel sat across from her, giving her space but staying close enough that she knew he was there. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way," he said gently. "About Tyler and Jasmine. Especially on New Year's Eve." Sarah laughed, but it was a sad sound. "Don't be sorry. You didn't do anything wrong. You just showed me the truth. If anything, I should thank you. How much longer would I have wasted on him? How many more years would I have lost trying to make him love me the way I loved him? At least now I can start the new year with clarity. You deserve better than that, Sarah. You deserve someone who sees your kindness as a strength, not a weakness. Someone who appreciates the way you treat people with dignity and respect. Like you." The words slipped out before Sarah could stop them. She felt her cheeks flush. "I'm sorry, that was inappropriate. Well, I guess you're Tyler's former boss. And I just met you. Sort of. I mean, I know you as Daniel the homeless man, but not as Daniel the CEO, and this is all so confusing." Daniel smiled, and it reached his eyes this time. A real smile. It is confusing. But Sarah, these past few days, you've shown me something I'd almost forgotten. You reminded me that there are still good people in the world. People who do the right thing not because someone's watching, but because it's who they are. I just treated you like a person, Sarah said. That's not special. That's basic human decency. You'd be surprised how rare that is. I've been on those streets for 3 months, Sarah. Thousands of people walked past me. You were one of maybe 10 who actually looked me in the eye. One of 3 who gave me money. And the only one who invited me into your home, risking everything, just so I wouldn't freeze. Sarah felt tears welling up again. I couldn't just leave you out there. Not when I had the power to help. That's exactly my point. You had the power, and you used it for good. Do you know how many wealthy people I know who wouldn't do what you did? People with millions of dollars who won't even make eye contact with someone who's struggling. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Daniel reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out something small. It was the little note Sarah had scribbled for him that night, with encouraging words and a smiley face. You kept that? Sarah asked, surprised. Of course I kept it. It's the most meaningful thing I've received in years. Because it came from the heart, from someone who saw me as worthy of kindness. Sarah felt something shift in her chest. Something that had been closed off for so long was starting to open again. Hope, maybe. Or the possibility of something new. A true new beginning. Daniel, can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you really do this? The homeless experiment, I mean. It's such a huge risk. You could have been hurt. You could have frozen to death. Daniel was quiet for a long moment, thinking. My father was homeless for 2 years when I was young. After he lost his job in the recession, everything fell apart. I watched people treat him like garbage. Like he was less than human because he didn't have a home. But he was still my dad. Still the man who taught me to ride a bike and helped me with my homework. He just didn't have money anymore. What happened to him? Sarah asked softly. Someone gave him a chance. A woman who owned a small construction company hired him even though he'd been out of work for 2 years. She saw his potential, not his circumstances. That job saved his life. Saved our family. And I promised myself that if I ever had the chance, I'd be that person for someone else. I'd see people's worth, not their bank accounts. That's beautiful, Sarah whispered. It's also good business, Daniel smiled. Some of my best employees are people others overlooked. People who needed a second chance. They're loyal, hardworking, and they understand what our company stands for. Sarah looked at this man, really looked at him. Under the expensive suit was still the same person who'd offered to buy her a drink with his last $10. The same person who'd returned her ID when he could have used it to steal her identity. The same person who'd slept in a bathtub rather than impose on her comfort. Daniel, I know this is crazy, and maybe it's too soon, and maybe I'm just emotional because my whole life just fell apart on New Year's Eve, but... Sarah took a deep breath. Would you want to spend tonight with me? Ring in the new year together? Like an actual date, where we both know who each other really is. Daniel's face lit up. Sarah, I would love that. I was hoping you'd say that. In fact, I've been wanting to ask you since the moment you gave me that $20 in the park. But I couldn't, not while I was testing everyone. And then when everything happened with Tyler, I didn't want to take advantage of a vulnerable moment. You're not taking advantage, Sarah said firmly. Tyler made his choices. I'm making mine. And I choose to give myself a chance at something real with someone who actually sees me. What better way to start a new year? There's a rooftop party at one of the hotels downtown, Daniel said. We can watch the fireworks at midnight. Would you like to go with me? It's a date, Sarah said, and she smiled. Really smiled for the first time in months. As they left the office and walked out into the snowy Denver streets, Sarah felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom. Yes, her relationship had ended. Yes, she'd been humiliated and hurt. But she'd also been saved. Saved from years more of being with someone who didn't value her. Saved from missing out on something real. That night, as the clock struck midnight and fireworks exploded over the Denver skyline, Sarah stood on that rooftop with Daniel. And when he took her hand and said, "Happy New Year, Sarah," she knew with absolute certainty that this year would be different. Sometimes the worst New Year's Eve can turn into the best beginning you never knew you needed. Sometimes losing everything means you finally have room for something better. And sometimes the person who saves you is the one you thought needed saving. Sarah looked up at the fireworks painting the sky and laughed. Happy New Year indeed. This was going to be her year. This story reminds us that how we treat people reveals who we truly are. As we step into a new year, remember that kindness is never wasted, that character is revealed in how we treat those who can do nothing for us, and that sometimes the greatest gifts come disguised as the hardest lessons. Treat people with dignity, not because of what they have, but because of who you are. And remember, every new year is a chance to be better than we were before. If this story touched you, let us know in the comments and tell us where in the world you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe to the City of Stories for more emotional, dramatic, and unforgettable stories. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and keep watching.